resigned. Critics, though, are calling it a witch hunt, but the TEA says free speech does not include celebrating violence. I'm sure many agree here. Let's bring in our panel, Republican strategist Katie Frost and Managing Director at Nestpoint and Republican strategist John Thomas. Welcome into Newswire, guys. Great to see you.
Good to be with you.
Thank you.
I think everyone's been sort of horrified that these are people with children. There's commercial airline pilots. There's people who think that they don't have to be accountable for their words. Even some in the media who have lost their jobs. Katie, first to you about Texas and what other disgusting, vile remarks we've seen across the nation.
Well, it's good to be with you, Bianca. What we're seeing is that, yes, you have freedom of speech, but that does not mean freedom from consequences. If you go out there and you celebrate the murder of a great American, a husband and father who was brutally assassinated, people are going to respond and they're going to have a problem with that. That should not be something that people have a hard time wrapping their mind around. There was a teacher in Texas who said, looks like he took one for the team. I hope he's roasting. And then she's going to go in and teach at an elementary school where there are children sitting in that classroom who hold the same views that Charlie held, whose parents hold the same beliefs that Charlie held. What people in the media and on the left fail to realize is that Charlie Kirk is mainstream in the Republican movement. And so when you say that someone like him does not deserve to be mourned when they are brutally murdered, the message you're sending to the children in your classroom who share those beliefs that I will not worry if you are murdered. I can justify you being killed for what you believe. It's horrific, and absolutely those people do not need to be anywhere near our children.
But, you know, also the media I mentioned, John, had said some really crazy things, not just the pundits. I want to play a little clip here. After the news conference, this is a supposedly, reporter, not a pundit, ABC News correspondent Matt Gutman describing the text message and the exchange between the assassin and his roommate, a transgender man.
But also, it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate who was transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love.
It's touching when he's saying, I killed Charlie Kirk. I mean, that's ultimately what the text message said. These people, have they lost their minds?
They have. It's really disgusting. And by the way, that's not just any news anchor at ABC. That is one of the chief news correspondents at ABC Network. And you can imagine that if somebody at that level, in that giant of an organization, feels that way and feels comfortable enough to say that on the airwaves, what kind of tone, what other behaviors do you think are accepted downstream? The problem with Katie was spot on. The problem with whether it's a reporter or teacher is that these people are in positions of authority and opinion shapers. And part of the reason that people like that violent, disgusting criminal who shot Charlie Kirk exist is in part because they are molded and perhaps weaponized by deranged teachers, deranged newscasters that are somehow propagating this and saying it's anything but the most barbaric, disgusting, and unacceptable act possible. We've got to get rid of this kind. We can't allow this kind of speech to be celebrated in newsrooms, never mind the classroom.
And when we hear Kash Patel on the Hill saying there's at least 20 Discord accounts we're looking at, maybe more, Deputy Director Bongino, and I'll ask you both this, I'll kick it over to you, Katie, first, said, yeah, we're looking at, outside if there's other people that knew about this or helped plan. There was one group, I believe it's called the Armed Queers of SLC, Salt Lake City, that was specifically named by Bongino. But, there could be foreign entities as well, picking up on what John said, that are trying to foment hate, violence. This administration is not going to allow it. In fact, Antifa being called a terrorist organization and designated as one is one of the big threats this week, Katie.
Absolutely. And are there going to be copycats? Does this inspire more people to think that when this is not called out for the vile attack that it is, that people think this is justified and then they go and try and do it as well? I mean, I've worked for an organization that advocates for the similar issues that Charlie did. We closed our offices last week as a matter of security and out of an abundance of caution. Everyone was sent home. Staff website was pulled down so no one knew who worked for us. I mean, I believe that in our country, you should be able to advocate for the things you care about peacefully and not have to do it behind bulletproof glass.
It's awful. I'm tight on time. I want to give John also a fair shot here to weigh in, give us the final thought on all of these. They were maybe in the dark before, maybe under the Biden administration, but no more, especially if they're being funded with dark money here.
And that's what you got to go after. You got to go after the root cause. Part of that is obviously teachers and whatnot that shouldn't be in a position of authority, but it's really about who is funding these grassroots groups that are propagating this hate speech, violent speech, and funding these groups like Antifa. So good on Trump and his administration for trying to go after the root cause here, because we've got to do something about this or it'll just keep continuing.
John, Thomas, Katie Frost, appreciate your comments today, and great to have you both with us.